So what's the difference between Bikram Yoga and the Barkan Method of hot yoga? That is what we're going to be talking about today. Hi everyone, if this is the first time we're meeting, my name is Jimmy Barkan. I've been teaching hot yoga since 1981. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell, then when I post a video you get notified, hit the like button, any comments you have, I get to all the comments, put them down below. So recently I did a video on the difference between hot yoga and other styles of yoga. So I put Bikram Yoga, the Barkan Method of hot yoga, Vishnu Ghosh, Bikram's teacher, all within this one sort of bundle or category. And I put the other styles of yoga, more specifically non-hot yoga. And in this video I talked about what I consider to be called the Krishnamacharyans, which now is known as Ashtanga Yoga, Vinaya Yoga, and many of the famous yoga teachers in the West came under this one particular bundle or umbrella. So now I'm going to be talking about Bikram and I and what's the difference between the two of us. I happen to be Bikram's most senior teacher for 18 years, so I consider to be an expert on Bikram's method and of course on mine because I created my own style of yoga. So let's talk about what Bikram Yoga is not. Bikram Yoga is not standing head to knee. Bikram Yoga is not the standing bow. Bikram Yoga isn't any of the postures that are in Bikram's flow. He chose 26 postures and 2 breathing exercises and put them in a sequence. Now, Bikram tried to copyright the sequence, and he definitely, in his own mind, took ownership of each posture that was in a sequence that he taught. But it's really, if you think about it, it's silly to think that you can actually claim a yogic posture, because you can't. Standing head to knee, standing bow was passed on to him by his teacher and his teacher before him, and so on. So what defines Bikram Yoga is the 26 posture sequence flow with the 2 breathing exercises and his concept of alignment and how he's going to instruct his teachers to get to their full version, to get to their full expression, to get to be the best that they can be in their own practice. And before I talk about the differences between me and Bikram, let's talk about the similarities. And there's definitely maybe even more similarities than there are differences. One is I consider myself very much part of this lineage. Bikram was my teacher, and I honor Bikram as my teacher. Vishnu Ghosh was his teacher, and I consider myself first and foremost part of this lineage. So the whole concept and the philosophy of yoga, using the heat, using many of the postures. I mean, every single posture in the Bikram flow is also in my flow. So we're very much interconnected. From a personal point of view, Bikram and I were brothers. And I talked about this in other videos. Bikram used to have in his office pictures of either just him or just him and a celebrity. So the only picture he had in his office that wasn't of just him and a celebrity was a picture of him and my father. And because we were family, we saw each other's kids grow up. Bikram's wife Rajashri and I are very close to this day. So we are definitely interconnected, not just from a professional level, but definitely from a personal level. So I do consider myself very much part of the hot yoga world, Vishnu Ghosh, Bikram Yoga, the Barkan Method, all intertwined. Now let's talk about some of the differences. When I had the privilege of actually representing Bikram on the Yoga Journal circuit, or on, not just Yoga Journal, but Johnny Kest did a conference, a yoga conference in the Midwest. Omega had conferences. So I was out there representing Bikram. And I had the privilege of and the honor of taking classes with a lot of the senior teachers from other styles of yoga. And a couple concepts I borrowed from them and learned from them was definitely where the Barkan Method began to change a little bit from Bikram. So if we're talking about alignment first, let's talk about what I call the scoop of the tailbone. So in the Bikram world, in postures like eagle pose and awkward pose, the first part, it's an arched back. You're sticking your butt out and you're lifting from your chest. And in my opinion, and also in my experience as practicing this particular alignment concept, I believe it's injurious to the lower back. And what I learned from the Krishnamacharyan side was the scooping of the tailbone. When we turn the tailbone down, I'm not talking about tucking it. I'm talking about scooping. It's a slight turn of the tailbone down toward the floor. We create a widening of the sacrum, which then lengthens the spine and takes all the pressure off. Now, another big difference is one of Bikram's most favorite sayings of all time, and I talked about it in another video at his wedding. At his speech at his wedding party with him and his wife Rajashri, he screamed out, "And I'll say to my grave, lock the knee, lock the knee, lock the knee." So you can watch this video where I did a whole dissertation on why you should not lock the knee. Now, I don't mean not have a straight leg. I'm talking about a strong supported leg, but I don't use the terminology lock the knee because Bikram, I don't think he meant hyperextend the knee. So watch that video and check it out. But definitely you won't hear from a Barkan teacher and definitely won't hear from me, lock the knee. Now, there are two postures in Bikram's series and in my series, both in my hot yoga class and my hot vinyasa class, that we do on a daily basis. Standing head to knee and standing bow. I consider to be these the two marquee poses in the hot yoga world, and Bikram and I teach it a little bit differently. In the Bikram world, they teach standing head to knee, where once your upper leg is straight, you come down with a flat back, and then you curl in from there. I don't do that. I do a curl back right from the start. If your upper leg is straight, you're going to curl in. I've done 2 videos now on standing head to knee. A few months back, we did the original video, and then recently we did an advanced version, and I talk about it in that video. Instead of coming down with a flat back, we're coming down right away with a rounded concave spine. That's the whole concept of the positions, that rabbit spine. So we teach that one differently. Now, standing bow, also I did 2 videos on this, so I'm very passionate about this pose. Bikram and I teach a little differently as well. Bikram has you kick as high as you possibly can right from the start. And to me, I've done 2 videos on this one too. Original video here, and then an advanced version. If you're kicking too high from the beginning, the hamstring of your standing leg will not allow you to come down low enough to get the stomach parallel to the floor where it has to be. I talk about it in those 2 videos. I'm telling you about it now. So instead, as the key or the mantra for the standing bow, how high you kick your back leg initially depends on the flexibility of the hamstring of your standing leg. So the advanced people do need to kick as high as they possibly can, but not for the beginner, not for the intermediate student, not for someone who has tight hamstrings. So that's a big difference between Bikram and I. Now, Bikram has 2 classes. He has his beginning class and his advanced class, but the beginning class is pretty much what he really only allowed his teachers to teach. Only a very select few got to teach his advanced class. So Bikram stands by his 26 posture, 2 breathing exercises as the pinnacle and the heart and soul of Bikram Yoga. And that's where he actually is a little different than his teacher in that respect. Because Vishnu Ghosh, Bikram's guru, and he'll tell you that, he'll shout that to the mountaintops. That was my guru, Vishnu Ghosh. He didn't teach that way. Vishnu Ghosh had a different philosophy. He would see a student come to him with, let's say, back issues, and he would prescribe a sequence of postures that would help that person with whatever that back issue was. A person comes in with tight hamstrings or tight hips, whatever it is, he's going to prescribe a sequence of poses designed for that particular person. When Bikram came to the West, he created a class that everybody can do. It was definitely geared toward Western anatomy, and he does the exact same flow every single day, 26 postures, 2 breathing exercises. In the Barkan Method world, I do like the consistency. In the first hour of the Barkan class, and we also have 2 classes in the Barkan class, but they're not beginning and advanced. I have a hot yoga class, more similar to the Bikram flow, where there's 2 sets of the balancing poses, but we also do a Barkan Method hot vinyasa class. So it's a little more of a continuous flow. But in both of my classes, at the last 20-25 minutes of the class, I give the teachers options to change it up. A little more similar to Vishnu Ghosh. So one day we'll work on hip openers, another day we'll work on back bends, another day we'll work on hamstrings, another day we'll maybe work on back strengthening. So I like to change it up a little bit on a daily basis, however, still keep the consistency so students can measure results. And another big difference between Bikram and I is the way we lead our teacher training programs, the way we teach others to teach. In the Bikram Yoga world, they have you memorize a script, word for word. And I've been told when the trainees would skip the word and or the, they had to go back again and repeat the whole pose. In my teacher training program, I have a script and I have very important bullet points that must be addressed. But I do it a little differently. I want the teachers, the teacher trainees, and by the way, if you're interested in doing a teacher training program with me, click the application below. We'd love to hear from you. If you're already a teacher, we have 300, 500 hour advanced level courses, even courses online. There are descriptions down below. Take a look. But in my training, I say, okay, these are the bullet points for this particular pose. I want you to address every single bullet point, but I want you to put it into your own words so that you can find your own authentic sound. So one teacher who's a little bit more on the soft spoken side is going to teach a lot differently than somebody that's more extroverted. So I want to bring out your personality so you can find your own authentic sound, your own authentic voice. Where Bikram wants to create more of a, and I hate to use the word cookie cutter, because everyone, their personalities are going to shine through, but it's still going to be a memorized script opposed to organizing the words in your own language, your own authentic sound. And by no means am I making the Bikram world wrong. I lived in the Bikram world for 18 years. I was brought up in the Bikram world. I was his most senior teacher, for goodness sakes. I'm just showing you the differences between the two. Some people love to have that sequence that they know where the next posture is going to be on a daily basis. They have that regimen. Teachers like to have that script to memorize. I'm not making them wrong for it. I'm just showing you the difference between the two. So that's our episode for today. I thank you for joining me. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Hit the notification bell. Hit the like button. Any comments you have, put them down below. If you hit the like button or comment, it boosts us up in the algorithm. Really helps out the channel. And I thank you for joining me. And I'll see you the next video. Bye, everyone.